I still haven't been able to complete that circle of manhood. Because to become a man, you have to have your own seeds with you. And when that doesn't happen, it's hard to not to mature yourself into that man that you need to be so you can become that father. I have a child, but yet I'm not a father yet. And that hurts because it was the people, Americans, government, that took away my child.
Obamacare was such a great idea, why is it that the people who authored Obamacare are calling it publicly a train wreck? Why is it, if Obamacare is such a great idea, that the people who have the most political influence with the people who wrote Obamacare, the people closest to Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi, why are they the ones who are obtaining waivers so that they can become exempted from Obamacare? If a local school district in Arizona had to bus kids in to school, that they would get $2.01 per student mile if the trip was under 1 mile. If the total trip to and from school was over a mile, instead of it being $2.01, it was $2.46. So guess what happened? Guess.
Everybody drove.
People, most kids live within a mile of school, but what happened here in Arizona was kids were getting on school buses, and school buses were taking longer routes, circuitous routes, to get them to the school so that it could be more than 1 mile, so that the education system could get the extra 40 cents per student mile. So what does that mean? It means there's more maintenance on your buses, more maintenance on the tires, more wear on the road, but what it really means is that your kids have to get up earlier and come home later, and they're on the road being exposed to traffic risks so that the government, which doesn't own any of the money, can get more of the money and put it into the general education fund. This is what happens. I didn't make this stuff up.
What's your name?
Bill Windsor.
Bill Windsor. And I see that you represent Lawless America, huh?
That's right.
All right. And what is that about?
Well, Lawless America is a documentary film, and it has become kind of a revolution. We're attempting to expose the fact that we have such unbelievable government and judicial corruption in America that something needs to be done about it. And so I'm close to 365 days traveling around America. I've been to all 50 states, to every state capital. I've been to 49. I've got to go to Alaska here in a couple of weeks. Filmed over 1,500 victims of all types of corruption. Right, about half of the stories are family court, divorce court, children, significant number of wrongful convictions, foreclosure fraud. Here in Phoenix, Arizona, and there have been a lot of stories about Sheriff Joe and failure to investigate sex crimes properly, and did a story about a young 13-year-old girl who was raped by her uncle, disclosed it to her teachers at school. They did a rape kit. It's 4 years later before she'd been raped again and again and again by this guy who threatened to kill her, that somebody finally did something about the rape kit because the detective closed the case. So a lot of people think Sheriff Joe Arpaio is great, but from everything I've determined, I think he's just a tyrant that has no business being in office. It's a form of corruption, the dishonesty and the incompetence and the racial profiling and his unbelievable attitude toward immigrants and immigration. Law enforcement's part of what we cover.
Talk to me, give me a sound check. Roger, 911 call. Rolling.
Hi. Well, what's happening in my case is that my parental rights have been severed and my children have been adopted by the fosters that had them. I have not seen them in over a year. I don't get any updates. I get no visitation. I just never see them again, basically. And my appeals attorney did not file a brief on my behalf, even though there's points on the final order that state that the dates were wrong on the removal and everything. Those are points alone to appeal on, but he did not file anything, said that I had no points of appeal. So that was the end of it. And, you know, my life is devastated. I'm devastated.
Okay, so today is Monday, June 3rd, 2013, and this is my friend Sarah Johnson. This is a woman who has given birth to 3 children already, and it appears that she has another one on the way. And this little boy has no idea that his 3 older siblings have actually been kidnapped by Child Protective Services. And today, I have a question for you, Miss Johnson. A lot of people talk about the fact that they take the children and they make money off of them and all sorts of things. Would you share with us how this has impacted you mentally?
Mentally?
Yes.
It's draining. I think overall, mentally, emotionally, and physically, you don't feel like a human anymore. You don't feel like you're a part of the community. You feel like a criminal when you haven't done anything wrong.
But they want to target the newborn children up to 5 years old because that's where they make the biggest profit. Because these children are adoptable. I mean, that's what the judges wrote regarding my grandsons, that they wanted to terminate her rights because the children were adoptable. And then when Judge Ishikawa terminated her rights to Josiah, he said that terminating her rights would speed up the adoption process.
I was still in post-op when they came in. I wasn't even able to feel my legs from getting the epidural.
So you couldn't have possibly have caused any reason for Child Protective Services to have to protect him.
I was still in recovery from just getting out of the operating room from having my C-section.
You hadn't even met him yet?
I had no idea how he looked or anything.
And they had taken him away before you even saw him?
No. They took him. They told me that they were taking him the second I got into post-op to recover and to be able to feel my legs and everything from the epidural, because it wasn't until then was when I was allowed to see him. I see. Before I even saw him was when I automatically knew that they were taking him. So to have him and then go and see him, knowing that they're taking him.
What did that feel like?
I can't even talk about it. Just to have to go in there and welcome him, you know, into this life, and then to know that you have to say bye.
Every time I go down there, they tell me that I cannot fight for my child. I've been telling people for the longest, the biggest industry in America is people taking away other people's children.
Yes.
I still don't understand how in the hell do other people that doesn't create something are able to come in and take something that you created.
We want our children back! 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 This is an evil regime!
Come in and take nobody's child that 2 people done laid down and had and mess up their lives. And do you know, when they did that to me, they didn't have no help from me. They didn't offer me no type of supervision or classes to help me get over this, or no type of medicine. They take away people's children from a good family, a good home, and put them with people who they later find out is pedophiles or, you know, have their kids raped. All you good officers, because I know there's some good officers out there amongst the crooked officers who's been getting cracked down. You good officers, stand up for us. You know what's right and wrong. All you good judges out there, amongst all of the crooked judges out there, all you good judges, stand up for us. You know what is wrong. All you parents who is going through this, I don't know how you're going to stand up, but you really need to stand up for yourself.
This is Sarah. Sarah has lost 3 of her children already to CPS, having no charges whatsoever against her. She's due next week. And what the threat is that they will take her, they took the first one for fraudulent charges, and they took the other 2 because they said, well, we already have the other one. And there's a threat now on this one. And I have 3 questions for CPS. Question 1, are you planning on taking this one? Question 2, if you are, why? And question 3, if not, then why are you going to keep the other 3 if that is indeed your plan? That's my question for CPS. Because if she's an unfit mother, they need to take this one too. And if they allow her to keep this baby, then why can't she have her other 3? She brought them into this world, she carried them 9 months, and now in the USA, CPS, a fraudulent criminal ring, can walk into your house and just take your child. American citizens sanctioned to take the life of a fellow American citizen are American educators when they do so with children.
I happen to not be on the very good side of a CPS supervisor. And she got mad at me, and she told me and my daughter that she was taking my grandson, Isaiah, and she was going to make sure I never ever saw him again.
She did.
What were some of the punishments you had to go through?
I was locked in my room for a month where I'd pee and shit in the room.
Really?
Yeah.
So this happened under CPS care?
Yeah.
The person that was taking care of you was a CPS foster parent, in other words.
Well, adoption, yeah.
Adopted parent. And so when this person would lock you in your room, you were in there for a month?
Yeah.
And she would, so describe that to me.
It's just hard to go through. You're just sitting there like, wow. I really, well, luckily she didn't take all the stuff out of my room. I had books. I had something to do, but it sucked.
And you were in there for a month?
Yeah.
And what if you had to go to the bathroom?
I would just do it in the room.
In the room, but did she give you, like, was it a bowl or a pot? What was it? She just made you go on the floor?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But did you say they actually ever locked you in a closet?
Oh yeah, there was this time. It was that brother of theirs.
Oh, the brother did that to you?
Yeah.
And was it like under lock and key that you couldn't even open the door?
No, but he had me there for a pretty long time.
Oh, so did that happen frequently?
Yeah, he did it all the time.
Like, and so the foster mother, did she know he was doing that to you?
I don't know. After a while, your fists don't solve everything.
Yeah.
So I just sat there, had a flashlight in my pocket, and sat in there. I became smarter.
Oh.
So I didn't have to be in the dark.
How long were you in there sometimes?
A whole day, half a day, depended.
Oh, so it was hours.
Yeah.
And so the foster mom who's supposed to be watching you didn't even know this was going on, possibly.
Yeah.
Oh. If you saw somebody right now taking a 2-year-old and getting ready to put him into the CPS system.
Tell him not to.
And
I've already told people not to.
And what would be your biggest selling point as to why you should not put your child with CPS?
My selling point would be if you're going to protect a kid, you're going to be there looking at them, seeing what they're going through.
And you feel that they
failed to do it?
Most of your childhood,
yeah.
your formative years. Yeah.
And another warning is a lot of the foster parents do it for money. And that would be actually the best one.
Oh,
they do it for the money.
How do you know? Did they buy you any nice clothes at all? Were you?
I always got hand-me-downs.
Oh, I hear that constantly. So, hey, Michael, how you doing?
All right.
Hey, listen, you told me you had some experiences with CPS when you were a child. How old are you now?
I'm 18 now.
Tell me what your CPS experience has been as a
I
child.
was through foster home, last foster home. Foster dad threatened to kill me and then sent me out. CPS, once I turned 18, gave me a bus pass and had me get my stuff and told me to leave, knowing I signed up for the young adult program.
What's the young adult program? What is that?
For kids to volunteer to stay with CPS until they're 21.
Oh, okay.
And they help them with schooling and pay for all of it.
I see. And they promised that you would have that at some point?
Yep.
And then what happened?
Worker sent in the referral but never told anyone she got replies back. And as soon as I tried to talk to her about it, she ran out of the office and out the door.
Oh, okay. So once again, CPS on the run and failing to take care of the children in their care. And so tell me, have you ever been hit or like treated badly while you were with CPS besides the fact that they so-called dumped you by the time you were 18?
I had my foster mom sit there and give me a gallon personally to myself and not allow me to touch anything.
A gallon of what?
A gallon of water. That was the only thing I was allowed to touch. And then I had a staff in one of my group homes restrain me for no reason for a kid almost dislocating my shoulder and sat there and covered for the kid.
And oh wow! So tell me about that water. They didn't give you your full meals. They just gave you water.
They gave me my full meals, but then just because I threw up here and there, the foster mom gave me a gallon and told me I wasn't allowed to touch anything else but that gallon. That was my personal gallon to drink out of because she didn't know what was on my hands and if my hands were dirty.
Oh, but what about your meals? Besides that water, did she still give you your meals?
Yes, she did not allow me to interact with other kids too when we'd go swimming.
Why not?
Because I was...
You gotta show us kicks and shit.
I got it, my friend.
You gotta get that shit right there, bro. Look at the camera, son.
Yeah.
Look at this shit.
Yeah. We got it. Thank you, my friend. We got it. So, tell me, what were some
I got a cashmere shirt for him, though, bro. We put him in the game after that, though. Look, we got all this shit.
Hey, you on camera? Tell me, what else did they do to you? First of all, let me back up. How old were you when you were first taken into CPS custody?
I was first taken into CPS custody when I was a baby, and then got adopted by my aunt and uncle and ended up back in CPS custody because they adopted me to a crooked family.
Oh, I see.
My own family.
I see. So they didn't give you people who would keep you safe and protected. And so how young were you when you could remember your first experience of being abused?
My first experience was elementary school. Went to school, wasn't able to sit down on a chair for at least a month.
Why not?
Because of my aunt and uncle. CPS didn't do nothing but go and do counseling here and there. Did not take me out of the home, and they kept placing me back in the home.
And you were being abused there?
Yes, ma'am.
In what ways?
Physically and mentally.
How mentally?
They'd sit there and call me all kinds of names to where I'd sit there and believe it.
Oh, that's horrible. And how old do you remember being when they were calling you names?
For as long as I could remember.
Were you maybe 6 years old when it started? 7, 8? What age were you?
About 6.
About 6. And you said you're 18 now.
Yep.
So you've lived a life of, would you say, torment under CPS?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that the strongest word that could describe it, or something worse?
Pretty much torment and torture. Not allowing me to stay in one school, switching me from place to place, and then just putting me back in bad places.
You mean people taking care of you? Or you mean in
putting
school?
Me back in bad hands
of
people that they say can take care of other people, but then place a child with a foster family and having multiple complaints from that child, including having the foster dad threaten to kill him, and that if it was his choice, he'd have the kid buried 6 feet in the ground in the middle of nowhere.
Oh my God. Well, listen, we're going to be having a rally on Tuesday, June 11, 2013, from 3 to 7 to expose CPS corruption and school beatings going on in this state. And on Friday, we're going to have a volunteer dinner for anybody who participates. And I'm going to give you a flyer, and I'd like you to think about joining us, because this is your chance to not only speak out, but have them exposed, and you deserve a lawsuit for what you have suffered at the hands of these U.S. government-funded employees. Our U.S. government pays these workers, and they harm people like you. Would you be willing to consider joining us?
I definitely will go.
Okay, thank you. Have you had any experience with CPS?
Yeah, when I was younger.
What age?
The age of 11.
And what was that?
Abusing, but I had moved on past that. My main thing is I lost my child, my daughter in 2011, and then a lot of stuff going on. My son is CPS, so I'm basically fighting for my son to get my son back.
Oh, okay. Is he still with CPS?
Yes.
And how old is he?
He's going to be 6 this year.
Okay. Did they just take him from you?
A long time ago when that happened, my daughter, so they took him when he was 3.5.
But you had nothing to do with what happened to your daughter? So then why did they take your son from you?
Then they couldn't explain me that. I fought like 7 months in my apartment, going to court, you know, fighting for him. My lawyer pushed it like every 2 months, every 2 weeks I had to see my son, and then every 2 months I had to go to court. And then she kept pushing it too for me in order to get him back. They didn't give me no service, they didn't give me no help, they didn't offer me nothing. So basically, when that happened, I took him upon myself. I lost a lot of things. So now I end up back here. Now I'm working to get myself back together.